So you've done a lot of videos and articles on cue ball deflection. I've also heard that there's a project called Jacksonville Project that helped discover the causes of deflection. Were you part of that project?
The Jacksonville Project, that was mostly done by Bob Jewett and Mike Shamos, and they also write for Billiards Digest, and I've worked with Bob Jewett quite a bit, but I was not involved in that original project. That was kind of before my time, but I did do a lot of super slow motion, high-speed video work after them that explored deflection and many other things. But they were the first ones that really used high-speed cameras and super slow motion video to help understand what's going on at the pool table. So they were the first to see that the tip is in contact with the ball only a very short amount of time, about a thousandth of a second. They were also the first to see that the tip, during that thousandth of a second, it gets pushed sideways by the cue ball. During that contact, it gets pushed sideways. And Ron Shepard, who's a physics guy, he did some analysis. He was the first to kind of analyze the physics behind this that helped lead to some understanding of what can you do to reduce the deflection of a shaft, cue ball deflection. And I've done a lot of that as well, a lot of the analysis and experiments. I've done a lot of experiments to quantify this. But basically, what causes cue ball deflection is just the weight of the last 6 or 8 inches of the shaft. And when you buy a new cue, that's all that really matters is the 6 or 8 inches of the end of the shaft closest to the tip.
And the rest?
The rest doesn't really matter.
Okay.
So in the early days, they reduced cue ball deflection just by drilling a hole through the end of the shaft. It reduced the weight of the end.
Right.
They also made the diameter smaller. Reducing the diameter of that shaft will reduce what's called the end mass. They also figured out that the white ferrules at the end of a shaft, that ferrule plastic material is heavier than wood. So they made the ferrule smaller. So I'll grab 2 cues to show that real quick.
Yeah.
So early cues had a larger diameter. This was solid maple, and they have a white ferrule, plastic ferrule, and so there's a lot of weight out here. And so let me grab the cue ball. Is there a cue ball over there? I think it might be on that pocket. I think.
Yes.
So when you hit the ball off center, it's only in contact a very short amount of time, but this starts rotating and it's pushing. The cue ball is basically pushing this mass away, and this mass pushes back. So that's why we want this to be as light as possible. And so again, the early cues had large ferrule, solid maple, large diameter. And some of the early technologies to reduce deflection, you can see obviously they made the ferrule smaller. That automatically makes it lighter. They also used segments of wood. It's called a laminate, where they glue segments of wood together to make this stronger. And when they make this stronger, they can make the diameter smaller. They can also drill a hole through this to lighten it even more. And latest cues are made out of carbon fiber. This is totally hollow, and the carbon fiber is very strong and very light. There's pretty much no ferrule. So that's been the evolution of cues to help reduce cue ball deflection. And this understanding, or these designs, came from the understanding we got from the super slow motion videos in the early days.
So now I have some questions from the fans. Do you play any tournaments? Can you talk a little bit about your tournament experience?
Okay. Well, I'm not a professional player, so I don't play in professional tournaments. I'm a professional instructor, and that's what I put all my energy into. But I also try to play pool well, and I do play in league. I've played in leagues a long time. And the league systems, they have national tournaments in Vegas. I go to those periodically, and I've done pretty well in those. I've placed in the top 24 once in the 9-ball and 8-ball singles.
And how many people participated in that?
Usually a couple thousand people. Yep.
Wow.
So it's good competition, but it's an amateur tournament.
Yeah.
But there's good players. There's some players there that are definitely pro caliber. The top people, the people that win it are pro caliber, semi-pro for sure. Yeah. So I enjoy that, but I honestly don't like tournaments that much because they take so long, and you have to wait so long to play sometimes.
The waiting time.
Yeah, so I don't like that, and they require a lot of endurance. And as you get older, I'm in my 50s, I'm 57. As you get older, the endurance part becomes harder.
Right.
So it's hard to play pool all day long for several days in a row.
Yeah. Which
you have to do at these tournaments.
And most of the time you're waiting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The second question is, I have a fan whose left and right eyesights are really different. do you have any suggestions for him regards to playing pool?
Yeah. Well, that's a complicated question, and there's a lot of different answers depending on the person. But you know, everybody's brains put together the two pictures of the eyes in different ways.
Okay.
And so what's important is that you find what I call the vision center position. Everybody has a unique place to put their cue. For a lot of people, it's right between their eyes. Mm-hmm. For some people that have a very dominant eye or have very poor vision in the other eye, which might be the case of your fan, the right place might be under the best eye. But usually, even those people, it might be somewhere else. But I have videos and articles on my website that tell you how do you find this vision center position. So I would suggest they check out my vision center videos.
Okay.
But that's the best I have advice for anybody with any eye situation or anybody in general. You need to find everybody's different. Yes. A lot of people, the answer is right between the nose, right between the eyes, even if they have a dominant eye. Mm-hmm. Like my right eye is dominant, but the best place for my cue is right between my eyes. Okay. Right between my eyes.
I think for me is just a little bit to the right.
Yes, that's very common also.
Yeah.
This last student I worked with, it was just inside the corner of his eye. It was right here. Everybody's different.
Yeah. All right. The third question is, can you tell us a little bit about the history of American pool, like how it got to be, and then anything that comes to your mind?
Yeah, that's one of the greatest contributions of America throughout history. Pool tables. It really is. In the early days of American pool, we had billiard parlors. It was like a pool hall, but it was before pool halls. It was like a gentlemanly place to go. It was like a fancy place to go.
Okay.
And they had billiard tables with no pockets. They played 3-cushion billiards. A very cerebral game, very complicated game. Mm-hmm. And it was played mostly by wealthy people, and they dressed in very fancy clothes. And you know, there were other pocket billiard games around, like snooker back then. But America decided to, let's make a smaller table and put bigger pockets in it, make the game easier than snooker or 3-cushion billiards. And when they started doing that, and also bars and small establishments, the big snooker and 3-cushion tables were too difficult to fit, and they could only fit a small number of them. But they decided, let's make the tables smaller, let's put pockets in them, let's make it easier, make it the game more fun and more easy. And that's when we started getting more pool halls and bars with pool tables. That's when the popularity really started to grow, because now it became the sport for the common man.
I see.
And back then, a lot of common people, blue collar type people, didn't have a lot of money, but they liked to gamble. Right? So unfortunately, pool got a bad image very early on, that it was a sport for the common man, and they loved to gamble. And that's all they did was gamble playing pool.
And also hustling.
And they liked to hustle also. Sometimes they hustled. Especially in the Depression era, a lot of people were desperate, and they had to hustle or gamble to try to get money to feed their family. So there was some times like that. But so I think our best contribution to the pool world is we made the game fun, more fun and easier.
Yeah.
And to where it became not just an aristocratic sport enjoyed by wealthy people, it became a sport for everybody. And that's one of our greatest contributions from America.
What's the pool hall like in America? Are they mostly like bars together with the pool tables, or are there a lot of like pure pool halls?
Yeah, well, most pool halls in America, it is a bar. Mm-hmm. And there's some bars that only have small coin-operated 7-foot tables. We call them bar boxes. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of small bars that have just a couple of tables or a few tables. And in fact, some of our leagues, we play in different bars all around town. And it's called traveling leagues, where you go to a different bar every week.
But the same
play different
group
teams.
Of people.
Yeah, same group of people, yes. But most of the pool halls, what we call pool halls are not just bars. They have a bar in them. Sometimes they serve food. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people hang out there. They go there after work and hang out. The weekends are very busy. And then there'll be like a good pool hall will have a large number of 9-foot tables, all right? And they'll also have some bar boxes, because they want to make money, right? And they want to bring in all types of customers.
Right.
So it's there'll be some pool halls that'll just have 9-foot tables, and they'll just be for pool players. But most pool halls in America are for not just for pool players, but for people that want to have fun playing pool.
Right.
But there'll always be, any pool hall will always have some regulars that are like really good players. Sometimes they gamble. They're always there. You'll see them there every day playing pool. You know, some of them are there. Some of them are retired and they're there playing all day. Other ones just get there as soon as they're done with work, and then they're playing almost all night. They'll eat there. They basically spend their non-working life in the pool hall. But pool halls often have, you know, several kinds of people. They'll have young people. This is a college town, so they have a lot of young people from the university that are just there having fun, drinking beer, and playing pool. There'll also be like league-type players that they might be playing in league, or they're there practicing with their team. And you also have, you know, the best pool players, you know, that are very, very serious about the game, and they're there working on their game all the time.
Like
so,
me.
There you go. Yes.
Yeah. And
But pool halls in America, they're fun places. Sometimes they get a little noisy. Sometimes they're noisy, but that's good training to be able to play through distractions.
Yes.
You got to be able to play through distractions.
Yes.
So we get good training for that with loud music. A lot of people getting drunk and
a
yelling.
lot of people walking around in front of your eyesight.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. But I suspect pool halls are similar all over the world. Like in the Philippines, you know, they might be, you know, they might not be as comfortable with the air conditioning, and it might be dirtier, but they're having fun. They have serious players, just like us. You know, in Germany they might be more reserved, less noisy, but otherwise everything's similar. In England they're drinking more beer and they're getting drunker probably and more rowdy.
And I think in China we don't have a bar per se, but we serve like all other kinds of beverages.
Ah.
Yeah.
And I suspect it's probably more respectful environment. Or no?
It depends.
I need to visit China.
Yeah.
And check out the pool scene.
Yeah, it depends. There are really nice pool halls where it's only like pool tables and the really fancy pool tables.
Yeah.
And the lightings and all that. Yeah, but I think the most like regular pool hall, just pool tables, but we don't have bar boxes. We only have the 9-foot, and then so Chinese 8-ball and also American pool table.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, in the late 1980s, early 1990s, the movie The Color of Money came out in 1986, and that increased the popularity of pool a lot in America.
I see.
The Hollywood movie The Color of Money with
like
Tom Cruise.
Positive image.
Yes. Well, and it was a well done movie, and it made it look very fun. It also glorified the gambling part of the game.
Yeah.
But anyway, when that movie came out, a lot of pool halls opened, and they had a lot of places that were very nice, fancy, with very good food and very fancy tables, no bar boxes, and also fancy furniture. And they attracted you know, working class people, you know, like professional people that made a lot of money.
Right.
And so that was a very popular thing. But that's not as common as it used to be. Now the pool halls are less fancy and kind of more like bars.
More casual.
Yeah, more casual. Good word. Yes.